My new boyfriend will be a better father to our son than such a loser like you, she said. So I fought for and won full custody. Now she sees him every other weekend while I'm planning his college fund. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The best sound in the world is a 4-year-old's laugh. It's this pure, unfiltered burst of joy that can erase a 12-hour shift, a bad day, the whole damn world. I was hearing it now, as Leo zoomed his stegosaurus along the edge of the bathtub, making roaring sounds that were more squeak than roar. And then the T-Rex comes, I narrated, lowering my voice. But Steggy is too smart. He hides in the forest. Leo's eyes went wide with mock terror. The forest is the bubbles, Daddy. Exactly. The T-Rex can't see him in the bubbles. This was our ritual. Bath, books, bed. I handled the nights I wasn't on a late shift. It was the non-negotiable part of my day, the anchor point. My hands, still calloused and grimy from a day fitting pipes and hauling equipment, looked comically large and rough next to his small, smooth back as I washed him. It was a contrast I never failed to notice. My job was to build and maintain. My purpose was right here in this tub. From the doorway, a voice, sharp and clipped. Are you almost done? It's getting late. Qley stood there, leaning against the frame, her phone casting a bluish glow on her face. She was already dressed for a night out, a sleek black top, jeans that looked painted on. Her hair was perfect. Just about, I said, keeping my voice light. We're at the climax of the dinosaur bubble forest saga. She didn't smile. Her eyes flicked from me to Leo and back to her screen. Mark got us reservations at Verve at 9. It's impossible to get into. I need to finish my makeup. Mark, her new boss. The name was becoming a constant, low-frequency hum in our apartment, like a fridge about to break. He was in venture capital or asset management, something that sounded important and paid enough for impossible reservations. We'll be out of your way in 5, I promised. She sighed, a sound of profound inconvenience, and pushed off the doorframe, her heels clicking down the hallway. I focused back on Leo, pushing the unease down. I got him out, dried him off, and wrestled him into his dinosaur pajamas. The whole time, my mind replayed the last few months. Qley's new job, her new wardrobe, her new disdain for our basic life. She'd started calling my construction foreman gig uninspired. You have no portfolio, Liam. Just a paycheck. I'd laughed it off at first, thinking it was stress. Now, the jokes had dried up. After 2 stories, the Gruffalo and good night, construction site, Leo's eyelids were heavy. I tucked him in, kissing his forehead. Love you, buddy. Love you, Daddy, he murmured, already half in a dream. I closed his door softly, the warmth of the moment evaporating as I stepped into the living room. Qley was by the mirror, applying a final coat of lipstick. The apartment felt different when she was like this, charged with a nervous, impatient energy. You look nice, I offered, because it was true, and because it was what you were supposed to say to your wife. It's a nice place, she replied, not looking at me. Mark says it's where the city's real movers go. She slipped her phone into her clutch. There's leftover pasta for you. I'll be late. And then she was gone, the door clicking shut, leaving me in the sudden, heavy silence. The next day was my Saturday with Leo. My favorite day. We were going to the science museum, then the park. I arrived at his daycare center at 4 p.m. sharp, still in my work clothes, a little dust on my boots. I pushed the door open, the familiar smell of crayons and disinfectant hitting me. And then I froze. There, in the bright, chaotic hallway, was Qley. And next to her, a man in a tailored navy blue coat, Mark. But that wasn't what stopped the air in my lungs. It was the fact that Leo was holding Mark's hand. And Qley was smiling, a genuine, easy smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months, as she adjusted the collar on Leo's little jacket. They looked like a unit, a family. My feet felt rooted to the linoleum. I watched as Mark said something to Leo, and Leo looked up at him, not with suspicion, but with a child's open curiosity. A cold knot tightened in my stomach. This wasn't a business dinner. This was a pickup. Qley's eyes lifted and met mine. The smile vanished from her face, replaced by a flicker of surprise, then something harder, defiance. She said something to Mark, who turned to look at me. His expression was one of mild, arrogant appraisal. He didn't let go of Leo's hand. I walked over, the noise of the daycare fading into a dull roar in my ears. "Liam," Qley said, her voice tight. "You're early." "I'm on time," I said, my voice quieter than I intended. My eyes were locked on Leo. "Hey, buddy. Ready to see some dinosaurs?" Leo looked between us, sensing the tension. "Mark says he knows where there's a real T-Rex skeleton." My gaze shifted to Mark. "That's great." I then looked back at Qley. "I'll take him from here." Mark finally released Leo's hand, a slow, deliberate motion. "No problem," he said, his voice smooth, condescending. "He's a great kid." The car ride home was silent. Leo chattered in the back about his day, oblivious. I watched Chloe's car in my rearview mirror, following us all the way back to the apartment we shared. The pretense was over. That night, after Leo was asleep, the storm broke. I stood in the living room, the same room where she'd told me she'd be late, waiting. She walked in, heels in hand, her expression guarded. "You want to explain what that was?" I asked, my arms crossed. I was proud that my voice was steady. She didn't even try to deny it. She dropped her shoes by the door and faced me, her chin lifted. "Explain what?" "That Mark and I picked up Leo. You know what it looked like. You know what it was. It was a friend helping me out because my husband is always working." She shot back, but there was no heat in it. It was a rehearsed line. "Don't," I said, the first crack in my calm appearing. "Don't insult us both. I saw how he looked at you. I saw how you looked at him. Picking up my son. He's our son," she snapped, the mask slipping. "And Mark actually has a future to offer him. You think reading dinosaur books and working construction is being a father? That's the bare minimum, Liam." The words hit me like a physical blow. The bare minimum. All those nights, all those early mornings, the scraped knees I bandaged, the fears I soothed. The minimum. "I'm his dad," I said, the words feeling inadequate, hollowed out by her contempt. "That's what matters. Me. Not some guy in a fancy coat." She let out a short, bitter laugh. "You still don't get it, do you? You are so completely out of your depth." She took a step forward, her eyes gleaming with a cruel certainty. "My new boyfriend will be a better father to our son than such a loser like you." Loser. The word hung in the air, toxic and final. "Mark has a portfolio. He has influence. You have a toolbox and a fading high school varsity jacket." Her voice was ice. "I'm filing for primary custody. And with his lawyer, I'll win. He understands the system. He knows how to get things done. It's better for everyone if you just fade away." There it was. The plan, laid bare. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was an obstacle. A loser to be phased out and replaced by a superior model. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just looked at her, at the stranger wearing my wife's face, and in that moment, something in me broke cleanly and then reset, harder than before. She had chosen her side. She had drawn a line between us, with our son on her end of it. I gave one slow, measured nod. "Okay, Qley," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "Okay." I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her standing there. I didn't go to the bedroom. I went to Leo's room, cracked the door, and watched the steady, peaceful rise and fall of his chest as he slept. The fight for him started right then. And I knew, with a clarity that was as cold as it was absolute, that I would not be fading away. The silence in my new apartment was a physical thing. It was a small, one-bedroom box with beige walls and carpet that had seen better decades, but it was clean, and it was mine. The first thing I did after moving the last box in was set up Leo's room. I put up his dinosaur posters, assembled his bed, and stacked his books on a shelf. I made a fortress for him, however temporary. I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. Grief was a bill that would come due later. For now, there was only process. My first call on Monday morning wasn't to a friend to cry, but to a lawyer. Sarah Jenkins had a reputation for being a pit bull in family court, and her website specifically mentioned experience with high-conflict custody disputes involving parental alienation. I booked a consultation for that afternoon. Her office was all cool glass and modern furniture, a world away from my dusty boots and calloused hands. I sat across from her, a neat file folder on my lap. "So, Mr. Carter," she began, her demeanor professional and direct. "Tell me why you're here." I didn't waste time on emotion. I opened the folder. "My wife, Qley, is having an affair with her boss, Mark Dawson. She informed me she intends to file for primary custody, citing my career and income as inferior. She believes his resources will guarantee her victory. I slid the folder across the desk. This is a log of my parenting time for the last 2 years, since my son was born. These are my pay stubs, proving stable, union wage employment. This is a budget showing my ability to support myself and my son. And this, I said, pointing to a separate section, is the beginning of a journal documenting her behavior. Sarah Jenkins scanned the documents, her expression unreadable. This is a good start. Organized. Judges like organized. The loser comment. Witnessed only by me, I admitted. But the sentiment is consistent. She's positioning this other man as a superior father figure. Then we document every interaction that supports that, she said, looking at me with a new level of interest. Every time she's late, every derogatory comment, every time this mark is prioritized over your role as the father. Texts, emails, voice memos. You become a historian, not a husband. Can you do that? I met her gaze. For my son? Yes. The fight began not with a bang, but with a series of meticulously documented skirmishes. Qley, true to her word, filed for divorce and primary custody. Our first court-ordered custody exchange was in a grocery store parking lot. She pulled up in a car I didn't recognize, sleek, German, probably Mark's. She got out, her face a mask of smug satisfaction. See, Liam? This is what a reliable vehicle looks like. Safer for Leo. I ignored her, focusing on my son. Hey, buddy, you ready for our weekend? We're building a fortress. Leo cheered as I buckled him into the car seat I'd installed in my dependable, paid-off truck. Qley leaned in, her voice a low hiss. You can't give him what I can. Mark's taking us to his lake house next weekend. You should just agree to my terms. Save us all the legal fees you can't afford. I finished securing Leo and straightened up. My lawyer has your lawyer's email. Have a good weekend, Qley. I didn't wait for a response. I got in my truck and drove away, my heart hammering against my ribs not from anger, but from the effort of control. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing there, stunned by my silence. The journal became my Bible. It was a simple, black-covered notebook. October 12th. Qley, 25 minutes late for pickup. Said she was in a meeting with Mark. Leo was anxious. October 19th. Text from Qley. Mark got Leo tickets to the monster truck show. Something you'd never think to do. October 25th. Voicemail from Qley. I need to switch weekends. Mark has a charity gala, and I need to be there. It's important for his image. I declined. Stuck to the schedule. November 5th. Picked up Leo. He said, Mommy and Mark were yelling. He said a bad word. Added to log. I was a black hole, absorbing all her negativity and logistical warfare and giving nothing back. No anger, no pleas, just the immutable facts of the parenting plan and the quiet hum of my documentation. The emotional middle came on a random Tuesday night. Leo was with his mother. My apartment was too quiet. I sat on my sofa, the black journal on the coffee table, and I allowed myself, for just a moment, to feel the weight of it. The unfairness was a lead blanket. I had done everything I was supposed to do. I worked hard, I loved my family, I was faithful, and it had meant nothing. I looked at a photo on my phone of Leo and me at the park, his face smeared with ice cream, and the loneliness was a physical ache. This wasn't weakness. This was the fuel. I closed the photo, picked up the journal, and made another entry. The feeling passed. The mission remained. The first crack appeared about 3 months in. I was dropping Leo off after our weekend. As I unbuckled him, he looked up at me, his little brow furrowed. Daddy? Is Mark mad at me? My blood went cold. I kept my voice casual. Why would you think that, buddy? He yelled when I spilled my apple juice on the new chair. He said I was a clumsy little mess. Leo's lower lip trembled slightly. Mommy told him to stop, but he was still loud. I hugged him tight, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. You are not a mess, Leo. You are a wonderful boy. Accidents happen. I added the incident to the journal, word for word, with the date and time. It was no longer just about disrespect towards me. It was about the environment she was subjecting him to. The text from Qley began to shift. The smugness was now layered with a brittle tension. Qley, we need to talk about the schedule. Mark's work is very demanding and your rigidity is causing problems. Me, the schedule is set by the court. We can discuss modifications through our lawyers. Qley, You're being deliberately difficult. You've always been so small. I didn't respond. A week later, she was 15 minutes late for a pickup. When she arrived, she was alone, her eyes red-rimmed. The fancy German car was gone. She was driving her old sedan. "Where's Leo's car seat?" I asked calmly. "It's in Mark's car," she snapped, then seemed to deflate. We had a fight. I simply went inside, retrieved the spare car seat I'd bought, and installed it in her car without a word. My silence was clearly unnerving her more than any argument would have. The karma hit in stages, each piece reported to me by a suddenly chatty mutual friend or, more tellingly, revealed in Qley's increasingly unhinged communications. The first was the breakup. Mark, it turned out, had enjoyed the fantasy of playing house with a ready-made family about as much as he enjoyed a long-term lease. The reality of parenting, the mess, the noise, the responsibility, was a buzzkill. He broke it off with her over a business lunch, telling her, according to our mutual friend, "This was fun, Qley, but I never signed up to be a stepdad. It's bad for my brand." The second stage was the financial collapse. Without Mark subsidizing her life, the expensive apartment, the car payments, and her lawyer's retainer became anchors dragging her down. The texts became desperate. "Qley, Liam, we need to talk. I'm under a lot of stress. He just left. I don't know what to do. Qley, this is all your fault. If you had just been more ambitious, none of this would have happened. Qley, my lawyer is dropping me. I can't afford him. You win, okay? You win. Can we just talk like adults?" The climax came on a rainy Thursday. She was supposed to pick up Leo at 6 p.m. from my apartment. By 6:45, there was no sign of her. Leo was getting anxious. At 7:10, my phone rang. It was her. Her voice was slurred, thick with tears and something else. "Wine, probably. I can't do it. I can't come. You keep him. Qley, where are you? Are you safe to drive?" A harsh, broken laugh. "What do you care? He's your son, right? You're the great father. You have him. I'm done." There was a sound of glass breaking in the background. "He said I was a burden. He said you were a loser, but you're so calm. It's disgusting." I hit the record button on my phone. "Qley, I need you to tell me you are formally relinquishing your pickup tonight for the safety of our son." "I'm not. I can't. He's gone, Liam. He's gone and he took everything and it's your fault." She was sobbing now, raging. "You were supposed to fight for me. You were just supposed to take it. Why didn't you just fade away?" The line went dead. I looked down at my phone. The recording was saved. In the serene quiet of my apartment, with my son safely building a Lego castle in his room, I opened the black journal. In neat, precise handwriting, I made my final entry for the day. Date, redacted. 7:12 p.m. Mother called, emotionally distraught, verbally abusive, and potentially intoxicated. She stated, "I can't come. You keep him, and I'm done." When asked to confirm relinquishment of custody for the evening for safety reasons, she reiterated her inability to care for him. Call recorded. Leo remains with me. I closed the book. The unraveling was complete. The war wasn't over, but the tide had turned irrevocably. I had given her all the rope she needed, and she had, with spectacular efficiency, hung her own case. The victory in court was quiet, anticlimactic, and total. There was no dramatic, Hollywood-style showdown. It was a series of documents. My black journal entered as evidence. The recorded phone call played in a sterile room. Qley's lawyer, underpaid and unprepared, offered little defense against the mountain of documented instability. The judge, a weary-looking woman with sharp eyes, granted me primary physical custody. Qley was awarded standard visitation. Every other weekend, one night a week for dinner. She was apoplectic in the hallway outside the courtroom. "This is a travesty. You documented everything? You set me up. I didn't look at her." I looked at my lawyer. "Thank you, Sarah. You did the work, Liam," she said, shaking my hand. "I just presented it." The first attempt at contact came that night. A text, so different in tone from her previous venom it might as well have been from another person. "Qley, Liam, I made a huge mistake. I see that now. Can we talk? For Leo?" I stared at the message. The manipulation was so transparent, it was almost pathetic. I didn't reply. I saved the message, took a screenshot, and filed it away in a digital folder I'd labeled post-judgment. I was still the historian. A week later, As I was reading Leo a bedtime story, my phone lit up with a photo. It was an old picture from a vacation before Leo was born. The three of us, Qley, a younger, happier me, and a goofy-looking golden retriever weed since given to her parents, were on a beach, smiling. The text below read, "Qley, remember this? We were so happy. We can be again. He needs his whole family." A cold anger stirred in my gut, but I quashed it. She was using our past, our son, as a tool. I deleted the photo and archived the text. No response. The desperation escalated. The weekly dinner pickups became her new stage. She'd show up looking increasingly haggard, the expensive clothes replaced by discount store bargains. She'd try to engage me in conversation while I buckled Leo into her car. "The apartment feels so empty without him," she'd say, her voice a carefully crafted tremolo. "I'm sure," I'd reply, my tone neutral, finalizing the car seat buckle. "Don't you miss it? Any of it?" "I miss the dog sometimes," I said, and closed the car door. The third attempt, the angry one, happened in the parking lot of a supermarket, our neutral exchange point. It was her weekend. Leo was already in my truck, excited for a trip to the zoo. As I turned to get into the driver's seat, she grabbed my arm. Her grip was tight, frantic. "Liam, wait. Please." I gently but firmly removed her hand. "The schedule is the schedule, Qley." "Stop saying that," she cried, her voice cracking. "He's just a little boy. He needs his mother full time. You're really going to let our family fall apart over one mistake?" "My mistake? You're punishing him to get back at me." I looked at her then, really looked at her. The carefully applied makeup couldn't hide the lines of stress around her eyes. The entitlement was still there, but it was now twisted with a raw, panicked need. "My lawyer has the schedule. We'll stick to that," I said, my voice flat. It was the wrong thing to say. It was the truth, and it was the one thing she couldn't bear. Her face contorted, the mask of the wounded victim shattering to reveal the fuming, cornered animal beneath. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" she spat, her voice a low, venomous hiss. "You pathetic loser. You're using my son to get back at me. You think you've won? You're just a lonely man in a shitty apartment with a custody order. You have nothing." I held her gaze, my expression unchanging. Her words were just noise now, empty shells hitting armor they could no longer penetrate. "Goodbye, Qley," I said. I got into my truck, started the engine, and drove away. In the passenger seat, Leo was quiet for a moment. "Was Mommy mad?" he asked, his small voice tentative. "Mommy's just having a hard day, buddy," I said, my voice softening only for him. "But we're going to see the elephants. Are you ready?" The sound of his cheerful "yeah" filled the cab, washing away the last echo of her fury. A year is a long time in the life of a child, and in the rebuilding of a man. The small, beige apartment was a memory. I'd used the stability of the custody order to qualify for a modest loan, and I bought a house. It wasn't a mansion, but it had 2 bedrooms, a backyard with a tree perfect for a future swing set, and it was ours. I was repainting the porch, a fresh, clean white, when she found us. I saw her car pull up to the curb, old and dusty. She sat there for a full 5 minutes, just watching me work. Watching Leo chase a squirrel across the lawn with joyful screams. Watching the tangible evidence of a life that had not just survived without her, but had improved. Finally, she got out. She looked thin, worn out. The fight was gone from her posture, replaced by a hollowed-out defeat. "Liam," she said, her voice barely a whisper. I set the paintbrush down on the can. "Qley," she gestured weakly at the house. "This is new." "It is." She wrapped her arms around herself, though the day was warm. "I got your address from the court papers." She took a shaky breath. "Liam, please. You won. You have him most of the time. Can't we just be a family again?" "I'm sorry for what I said. All of it. I was stupid. I was blind." She was begging. Truly, honestly begging. This was the moment a part of me had once fantasized about. The moment of total surrender. But the fantasy had died, replaced by a quiet, profound contentment. I looked past her, at Leo, who was now trying to dig a hole to China with a stick. I looked back at her, my eyes clear and calm. "Qley, you were right about one thing," I said, my voice even and firm. A flicker of hope ignited in her eyes. "What?" "It is better for everyone if one of us fades away." The hope died instantly, replaced by confusion, then dawning horror. But you were wrong about which one. I continued, my gaze unwavering. Leo is safe. He's loved. He's thriving here. He has a home. That's all that matters now. Your relevance in my life ended the moment you chose to use our son as a weapon. I saw the words land, each one a final, definitive nail in a coffin long since sealed. There were no more tears, no more rage. Just a terrible, empty understanding. This chapter is closed, I said. I didn't wait for a response. I turned my back on her, walking across the freshly cut grass toward my son. Leo, buddy, time to wash up for lunch. He dropped his stick and ran toward me, a whirlwind of dirt and joy. I scooped him up, blowing a raspberry on his neck that sent him into a fit of giggles. I carried him inside, the screen door slapping shut behind us with a sound of finality. I didn't look back to see if she was still there. It no longer mattered. The house was filled with the sound of my son's laughter, and the future, finally, was ours. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.